Welcome, everyone, to Learn English with Leo and Lily. We are so happy you are here with us today.
It's really wonderful to have you join us for this episode. Today, we want to talk about something many of us often think about. It's a big question, actually.
Indeed, we often ask ourselves, why do we say we want to change our lives? But then, we never really start.
Or for that matter, why do some people truly turn their lives around completely, and yet others, they just seem to stay stuck right where they are? That's what we want to explore today.
That is a very good question, Lily, and it brings us to our first important point about change. Many people, they think, I need to feel motivated first. I need to have a big burst of energy, and then I will start.
Right. It's like, I need to feel excited to go to the gym and then I will go. Or I need to feel inspired to start that new project and then I will begin.
Exactly. But the truth is, that's not how it usually works. Motivation, it often comes after you start, after you take that very first step, even if it's a small step.
It's true. Think about it. When you take just one tiny action, you often feel a little bit better, a little bit more confident. And that small feeling of success, that's what builds your motivation to do more. It's like, you take one step and suddenly the path ahead looks a bit clearer.
So if you are waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan or this huge wave of motivation, you might be waiting forever. The key is just to start. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a big action.
A small action can be anything. It could be sending one email, writing one sentence, or doing one push-up. The important thing is that you do something. That action creates movement. And movement creates more desire to keep going.
That's right. So instead of waiting for motivation to find you, go and create it yourself by taking that first, perhaps tiny action. And, speaking of starting, I think we also need to talk about something that many people try to avoid, and that is discomfort.
Discomfort. Yes, real change, lasting change. It's not always comfortable, is it? We want things to be easy.
Exactly. We want to improve, but we don't always want to feel strange or difficult emotions. But growth, it often means stepping outside of what feels safe or familiar.
It's true. Think about it. If you want to build a new habit, you might have to say no to old habits that it feels like a bit of a struggle at first. For example, staying up late to watch TV versus going to bed early to wake up for exercise. Saying no to the TV feels like a bit of a struggle at first.
Or maybe you want to learn a new skill. And when you first try it, you feel perhaps clumsy or not good enough. That feeling, that's discomfort, but it's a necessary part of learning and getting better.
It is. And we need to accept that this feeling is part of the process. It's like if you want your body to get stronger, your muscles need to feel a little tired after exercise. That tiredness is a sign that they are growing.
That's a great example. And the same is true for our minds, for our lives. If we want our lives to grow, to change, we have to be okay with a little bit of emotional pain sometimes or effort. It costs something.
Yes, it has a cost, and that cost is usually this feeling of discomfort. It's saying goodbye to the easy way, to what you always did, and hello to something new and perhaps a bit challenging. But that challenge, that's where the real growth is.
So don't be afraid of that feeling. Actually, sometimes that feeling of discomfort, it can be a sign that you are on the right path. It means you are not staying still. You are moving forward. So Lily, we've talked about discomfort being part of change, but there's something else that often stops us even before we start feeling uncomfortable.
Are you thinking about fear, Leo? Because I think that is perhaps the biggest blocker for many people.
Absolutely. Fear. It's the wall we hit, isn't it? People want to change. They want a better life, but then they are afraid.
Right. Afraid of what? Afraid that they will try something new and it just won't work out?
Yes, the fear of failure is a powerful one. We often don't start because we are so worried about making mistakes or not being good enough. It's almost as if we prefer to stay where we are, even if we are not happy, than to risk failing.
And it's not just failing, is it? There's also the fear of looking foolish, of what other people will think if we try something new and it doesn't go perfectly, or if we look, well, silly.
That's so true. We often worry so much about the opinion of others. It holds us back. And then there's the fear of regretting our choices. What if I make this big change and then I wish I hadn't?
Oh, that one is very strong. It can make you feel paralyzed. You just stay still because you are so worried about choosing the wrong path. But in reality, staying still is also a choice, isn't it? A choice to not move forward. It is. And these fears, they keep so many people stuck. They stay in jobs they don't like just because it's safe. Or they keep old habits that are not good for them because it's what they always do.
Exactly. Or they stay in relationships that make them unhappy because, the thought of being alone or the thought of changing everything, it feels too big, too scary.
And when you are stuck like that, when fear is holding you back, you cannot grow. Your life, it just stops. It stops moving forward. And you cannot become the person you want to be.
It's a very heavy feeling, I think, this feeling of being trapped by your own fears. But recognizing this fear, naming it, that's the first step to overcoming it.
Yes. Knowing that fear is the real blocker, not lack of motivation, not a lack of a perfect plan, but fear itself. That's a powerful realization. You know, Lily, we've talked a lot about fear being a blocker. It stops us. But what if we could use our feelings, our emotions, in a different way? Not as something that stops us, but something that actually, pushes us forward.
That's a very interesting thought, Leo. So instead of being stuck by fear, we can use our emotions to move. I like that idea. How would that work?
Well, think about frustration, for example. We all feel frustrated sometimes, right? Maybe about a situation at work or a habit we can't break. This feeling of frustration, it can be a really strong push.
I see what you mean. When you are very frustrated with something, you sometimes just say, that's it. I have to do something about this. It gives you that burst of energy to act.
Exactly. Instead of letting frustration make you feel bad, you can use it as a signal that says, it's time for a change here. And that can be the first step toward finally doing something different.
So frustration can spark action. What about other emotions?
Yes, think about passion. When you are passionate about something, maybe a hobby or a cause or a dream you have, that passion, it is pure energy. It's a very positive feeling.
Oh, yes. When I feel passionate about a project, I can work for hours without even noticing the time. It feels good. It feels right.
And that's the point. That energy, that good feeling, you can turn it into something meaningful. You can use your passion to guide your choices, to choose what truly matters to you and what you want to spend your time doing. It helps you build a life that feels authentic.
That's wonderful. So frustration for starting and passion for guiding. What else?
Well, what about pride? Not pride in a bad way, but the feeling of being proud of yourself, of what you have done.
Oh, yes. When you achieve something, even something small, and you feel that good feeling of, I did that. I worked hard and I did it.
Precisely. That feeling of pride, it's so important for staying motivated. When you make a small change, maybe you start exercising or you learn a new word in English and you feel good about it, you should celebrate that.
So celebrating small wins?
Yes, absolutely. Celebrate those little victories because when you feel proud of what you've done, even if it's small, it gives you the confidence, the desire to keep going. It keeps your motivation high for the bigger changes.
So it's like a cycle, isn't it? Frustration can push you to start, passion can show you the way, and pride, well, pride keeps you going, keeps you motivated for the next step.
That's a perfect way to put it. Our emotions are not just things that happen to us, they can be powerful tools if we learn how to use them.
That's so true, Leo. Using our emotions as tools. It sounds very, well, very powerful. But once we understand our emotions and start to act, what's next? How do we know what changes to make?
That's where I think we need to ask ourselves some really good questions. Not just what should I do, but deeper questions. Questions that make us really think about our lives.
Deeper questions, like what?
Well, for example, the first one, it's very simple but very strong. What do I truly want? It sounds, basic, but many people don't actually stop to think about this. What is it that they really, really want for themselves?
That's a good point. Sometimes we get so busy with daily life, we forget to dream or to think about our true desires. We just do what we always do.
Exactly. And then another one, it's also very important. What am I done tolerating? This one, it makes you think about all the things you put up with, even if they make you unhappy or uncomfortable. Maybe it's a bad habit or a situation or something else.
Oh, I like that question. What am I done tolerating? It gives you permission to say no more. This stops now. It feels very strong, doesn't it?
It does. And then here's one more that I find, very insightful. What do I deserve but don't have? This makes you think about your worth, what you believe you should have in your life, but for some reason you don't. It could be peace or happiness or respect or a certain kind of work.
That's a powerful one, Leo. It makes you think about your own value, what you really deserve, and it can motivate you to reach for more.
And finally, the last question for reflection. What's keeping me small? This one, it makes you consider what limitations you have, perhaps in your mind, or what external things are holding you back from growing, from becoming your full self.
So these questions, they really help you look inside, don't they? To understand yourself better and then to see what needs to change. It's like shining a light on the path ahead.
Precisely, Lily. Change really begins when we take the time to reflect, to ask these questions honestly, and to understand what drives us, what stops us, and what we truly want for our lives. It's a very important step. Precisely, Lily. Change really begins when we take the time to reflect, to ask these questions honestly, and to understand what drives us, what stops us, and what we truly want for our lives. It's a very important step.
So after we reflect and we know what we want, then what? Is it one big leap? Do we just jump into a new life?
Well, that's a very common idea, isn't it? Many people think change is one big moment, like a sudden transformation. But actually, it is not. True change, real change, it happens little by little. It is something we do, I think, every day.
Every day? So it's not like you wake up one day and everything is different.
No, it is a process, just like building a muscle. You do not go to the gym one time and become very strong, do you?
Oh, no, certainly not. You need to go often, many times, week after week.
Exactly. You lift a little bit of weight, maybe many times a week, and over time, your muscle, it grows stronger. Life change is exactly the same. It is not one big event. It is the result of many small, repeated actions done consistently.
So if someone wants to, say, learn a new language, they should try to study for 10 minutes every day instead of waiting for a whole hour once a month.
Absolutely, Lily. Those small, consistent 10 minutes, they add up to a lot. They really do. Or if you want to start a new healthy habit, you begin with a very small step. Maybe you walk for 5 minutes, and then the next day you walk for 6. That small daily effort, it builds momentum. It builds strength for the big change.
That makes so much sense. It feels less scary too when you think about it as small steps, not one giant impossible jump.
It is much less scary, and it's much more sustainable. Big changes are made from many small daily decisions and actions. It is a daily habit, really. That is how we change our lives.
It certainly does. And a lot of people, they often say, I will start when I feel ready, or I will start when I have, a clear plan. Does that work? Waiting for readiness?
That is a very common thought, a very common trap, I think. Many people, they wait for confidence to appear or for everything to be perfectly clear before they take the first step. They think, once I feel confident, then I will begin.
So is it like they're waiting for a special feeling to arrive before they can start something new?
Exactly. They are perhaps waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling. But the truth is, confidence, or for that matter, clarity, they do not usually come before you start. They come after you start.
Oh, that is interesting. So if I want to feel confident speaking English, I should not wait until I feel confident to speak. I should just speak.
Precisely. You speak even if you feel a little nervous, even if you make mistakes. And with each time you speak, your confidence, it grows, it builds. Starting, that is what creates the readiness. It is not the other way around.
So if someone wants to start a new job or a new hobby, they should not wait until they know everything. They should just begin to learn, perhaps.
Yes, absolutely. Waiting for everything to be perfect or waiting to feel completely ready, that actually keeps you stuck, I think. It prevents you from moving forward. The act of starting, even a small action, that teaches you what you need to know. That builds the confidence you need.
It is a bit like learning to ride a bicycle. You do not wait until you know how to perfectly balance before you get on the bike, do you? You get on and you try, and then you learn the balance.
That is a fantastic example, Lily. You get on, you wobble, perhaps you fall a little, but you learn by doing. So if you are waiting for confidence or for a perfectly clear path, my advice is simply start. Just begin, even if it's a small step. The readiness will come as you move forward. So, Leo, after talking about all these wonderful ideas, I think we have a few main points, don't we? Important things to remember.
Yes, absolutely, Lily, we do. I mean, the first and perhaps most important is that change, it really begins with action, even a very small action. We learned don't wait.
Right. No waiting for the perfect moment or feeling. And also we discussed how growth, it brings some discomfort. We need to accept that feeling, that it is part of the process.
Indeed, it's not always easy, but that feeling is often a sign of progress. And speaking of feelings, we learn to use our emotions, like anger for starting, passion for meaning, and pride for staying motivated.
Ah, yes. Using them as fuel, not as blockers. And then asking ourselves good questions, deep questions. What do I truly want? What am I done with? These kinds of questions.
Precisely. Those questions, they help us see things clearly. And finally, remember that change, it is not one big event. It is a daily process, Lily, like building a muscle. You have to be consistent.
Yes, consistency is key. Small steps every day. And I suppose the biggest message is that change, it will not always feel smooth or perfect, will it?
No, it won't. I mean, real change, it is often a bit messy, perhaps difficult at times, but that is what makes it real. And for me, that is what truly matters. It is authentic.
Absolutely, Lily. It's about taking those first steps, not waiting for perfection. And, for all of you listening, we really want you to take something from this episode.
Yes, a takeaway, a simple next step for you. So our action step for you today, our wonderful listeners, is this. Just pick one small thing you want to change and do it today. Just one small thing.
It doesn't have to be big at all, just a tiny start. And remember, something important, a quote that I really like for this topic. The best way to predict the future is to create it. It means you make your own future, step by step.
That is a beautiful quote, Leo. I love that. And we truly hope this conversation has given you some new ideas and, of course, helped you practice your English.
Yes, we really do. Thank you so much for joining us on Learn English with Leo and Lily. We loved having you here.
Please remember to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you have a moment, please leave a comment or a review. It helps us a lot.
It really does help us know what you think. We will be back very soon with another episode. Until then, keep practicing your English and keep taking those small steps towards the changes you want to see.
Bye for now, everyone.
See you next time.